Thank you very much, Brian. As he's already said, it's about a lot more than challenging times for men. And just to begin today, again, a word of welcome to everybody. That when you look around the room here, I suppose one of the things that we can definitely say about starting a conference like this is that there's a real need to engage with men. It's challenging times. We read about it everywhere in our newspapers. We see it all the time on our news. And so there's never been a more important time that we can come together and do something like we have here today. So I want to say a word of thanks to everybody who's booked in, who's got in a car early this morning, who's motivated other people to come here and to be here in the room. And if you look around, there's vast experience here. We've huge experience of what it is to be a man and to be living in the world. But I also want to say to service providers who are here, a real word of welcome. I'm looking around and I know many people who are here who over the last number of years have given a huge amount in relation to supporting men's initiatives. And all of us in the room have human experience of what it's like to be a man or be male, or a woman or female. And we hope to honour that here in this space, because there's very different ways of being human in the world. And gender is a very important part of that story for all of us. And later in the day, there's a man at the back of the room here, Noel Richardson, and he will bring some light on that as well in relation to gender and how it can impact on our lives especially. Just to say a word again, Brian has already said it, it's a really busy day. So we're going to have to really work right up to lunchtime. And I know people might have loads of questions and loads of queries. Today is just the beginning. We're not going to be able to do anywhere near all of it. But I am asking you to hold questions you have, and we might have time later on to bring them into the spaces where we have the workshop in relation to that. And then later on as well, after our 3 presentations, a word of thanks to the guys who are doing that. Some of them maybe not doing so much of it before are going to get up here and share with us. So I'm asking you to be generous as well in listening and with our time in relation to that. But we're going to also launch later on the Men's Development Network 7 questions worth reflecting on in relation to a better quality of life. And Alan, my own boss and CEO of MDN, will say something about that. So what's the day about? It's simply about awareness raising, and it's also about information, about basing it on information. And just to say a word about that, already I've been told there's a load of packs outside. So anybody who hasn't picked up a pack on the way in, your name is on it outside, and there's really good information in it for you in relation to men's issues and maybe men's health as well, and good information in relation to finding out where we can go next. So it's about that. It's also about, I suppose, highlighting some of the challenges, but most importantly, we're going to look at what's working well in County Wexford in relation to supporting and engaging men. And we had a lovely day over in Enniscorthy on the far side of town where men came and shared about that, and I know there's men in the room here because of that day, because we want to know more about what's working well. So I'm making a really, I suppose, it's an adult invitation here today. It's a working morning. For all of us sitting here, I'm asking you to do these things that I've written 1, 2, 3, 4. Talk and share with each other. Swap numbers with each other. Over lunch, over the coffee and the scone. Move around the room, sit with somebody you haven't met before, and use this forum to go away from here with new information where maybe you can visit a group that you haven't met before. So use it like that up to 1 o'clock here today. That would be really good if we could. Just to say a word about this, we're in the context of health especially, it's a key issue for us as men. There is a national men's health policy, and one of the things I really like about it, as I say, Noel Richardson, sitting at the back, is one of the co-writers of that, is that it's based on positives. Very often when we hear about men's lives, we associate it with negatives. If I bring in any of the newspapers here today, a lot of the news in the newspaper seems to be about us as men. And I think it's very important that we identify the positives and that we build on that as we go into today especially. There are reasons why we should focus on men's lives. Here's some of them. I don't have to read through them. Some of them are there in relation to suicide, road deaths, violence, the fact that we die younger than women, the fact that we have poorer health mostly through our lives than other people. This is the fact of the matter, and so for that reason alone I think we need to focus on men's lives and on men's health as well. Challenging times for men. In recent times, the Men's Development Network, we carried out a survey here in Wexford, and maybe Alan will say something later about this as well. There was some really challenging information that came back from it. It was what we would call a Dole-Q questionnaire. We don't use that term anymore, but it was talking to people who were unemployed. And they were saying to us what it was like to be unemployed. But there were some pieces of information that were in that piece of research that helped us to see what we could build on. For example, a huge number of men said that they do take a positive attitude to ourselves. There's something we can learn from. There's something we can build on. We also said we really enjoy and get a lot out of our friendships. Men sheds, men being together, men coming here today. Something we can build on that Brian has already referenced as well in the beginning, maybe in relation to funding. And here's a good one. 88% of us said that we really recognise the importance of staying involved, staying busy, and staying engaged. So if we have something to do, especially in a challenging time, if we feel included, that's very, very important for us. So these are some of the things we can build on going into today and coming out of today as well. We do know that there's a lot of really good things that can be done in relation to working with men. And here's a list of some of them. We know that Men Sheds, Australia and Ireland, really fantastic movement working at the moment, right across Ireland and Australia. We know about medical checks. We know about Men's Development Network. We work in groups with men as well. We know about health days. We know about summer schools. There are loads of ways of bringing men together in ways that are positive and that can support us. And so that's what we're going to focus on today. And we know as well we have good practice. If we look at this for a moment, there are ways of working with men that we've identified that really work for us. And this is based on research that if it is positive, if we find the hook, if we engage the men, if we allow the men to be part of developing the program, all these things really do help us work and make a difference in how we work and engage men as we go forward. One of the things we hope to do today, I suppose, is also work towards and focus on higher standards for engaging men as well. Later on in the day, Alan O'Neill is going to talk about 7 questions. And these 7 questions are very important. They're simple 7 questions that can help us engage with one another. What's going well? What's not going so well? Simple conversational questions that can make a difference to the quality of our lives. And I hope that you take these questions away with you as well as we go out of here today, and they might make a difference to who and how we are in the world. So today, very briefly folks, I think there's no time like now to begin. There's no time like now in this space to sit together and, as I said at the beginning, to look around and see what difference we can make to one another. It's our experience that as men very often we can really, really enjoy each other's company. And when we reconnect with that, it can make a significant difference to our lives. A really rich difference to the way we live in the world. Sometimes as men we get bad press, as I said at the beginning, and I think some of it we have to stand up and say it comes our way for very real and practical reasons. But there's another story for us as men as well. And I think many of us will know that very often we're the very ones who put our lives on the line and who respond when things are really needed to be done. That's also our experience of being men. And we need to stand in some way in that as well. And I think there's something as well about us very often in history that we can show up when it counts. And that can also make a difference. So for today, folks, I'm asking you to please do what I said a few moments ago. Use this space and forum. Talk to one another. Share with one another over coffee, over lunch. Learn and build networks. Connecting, swap numbers. Invite one another to each other's projects or initiatives, wherever you are before you leave here today. And especially later on at 11 o'clock, I'm asking you to enjoy the scone and enjoy the coffee and enjoy the working lunch together when we come to 1 o'clock later on in the day. I'm now going to hand you over to the 3 men who have been really good to say they'd come here and tell us a little bit about what has been positive in County Wexford in relation to what's working with them. We have a man from Arklow who's going to talk to us about the Arklow Men Shed. We have a man representing the Rams Grange men who's going to tell us a little bit about their project down there, that's on display in the corner. And then we also have the South End men who will be here as well talking, and Mark Flynn is going to speak on behalf of the Wexford Town Group as well. So thank you for listening. Enjoy the rest of the morning. As I say, it's a very short morning, and really enjoy each other's company here as well. Thank you very much.